and I have my own nonprofit foundation, Patriots Kids Foundation. And what we do is that we bring back the love from kids to our country, our history, our values, our Constitution, and everything that means family and everything that means patriotism, not just in America but in other countries.
Okay, so okay, so the context of this is we're here in Budapest at CPAC,
Yes.
and it's a place for conservatives to get together. And what made you feel like it was necessary to come here?
Well, for me, I think that it was necessary to come here because, first of all, it's CPAC. Second of all, because Hungary hasn't just been fighting against communism from now, but since 1956, when the Hungarian Revolution, where they came out to the streets asking for freedom, because they knew that the only thing that communism brings is that it brings misery, it brings disunion of the family, and it brings separation and hatred to your own country.
Yeah. So I want to hear about your specific context. So what happened to you that inspired you to start your group? What is your personal story?
So what inspired me and what happened is that I started to see a huge rejection from kids to our country, our history, our values, our Constitution, and everything, like I'm saying, that means patriotism. And they started to feel shame about what was happening in our country. They felt shame that Trump was a president. They felt shame that they were born in America. And I said, Mom, after everything that our founding fathers did for us, we can't let this keep happening. So I started the foundation, and we started working and fighting against all of these new agendas that socialists and communists are with and are helping to get into the schools so that they can indoctrinate the young kids and new generations.
So where did you see this, like in your classroom? Like kids weren't standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, or
Yes.
you have a rainbow flag in your classroom, or people at the lunch table were complaining about Trump and they wish Hillary was the president instead, stuff like that. Why don't you speak on that?
So yeah, exactly. That was what I was seeing at school. So I said, we cannot let this happen. We have to fight against it. And it was the same thing that happened in Cuba. It's the same thing that happens in every communist country that starts like that. First of all, they indoctrinate the kids. They separate the families. They separate the love from kids to our country. They separate God from the education of kids, that is one of the most important things to have. God has to be in the education of kids.
Yes, very good point. It seems like we're the New York Young Republican Club.
Yes.
We're trying to get more and more young people interested in Republican politics. What do you say to young people that may be ambivalent about politics or not interested? You seem very enthusiastic.
Thank
How
you.
do we get people to be more interested at a younger age? And how did that? Why don't you speak on that?
Oh, I think that the easiest way to do that is by letting them know that everything that they have around them, everything that they like, everything that they want, and everything that they have is controlled by politics. The games that they buy, because that's something that's most in common today. I don't play games myself. I read books. I learn about history. Those games are controlled by politics because of the prices. Because politics allows those games to corrupt their minds. Stuff like that is what we have to let them know. Look, politics is what lets you have light in your house, have air conditioning, lets you go to school. Because, an example, in Cuba, you can't go to school if you don't say that you're going to be like an assassin and that Che Guevara. So that's something that's very important for them to know, that everything is controlled with politics.
Fascinating. Now, to be more topical, the conservative governments here in Hungary is showing a way to actually govern with conservative values in a world that's dominated
Yes.
by post-liberalism.
Yes.
You have this environment where the most powerful countries are advocating for a very strange new way of government, which includes green climate socialism, bizarre gender ideology, and things that, when you look across the annals of governance in world history, were never part of what makes up good government. But we find that here in Hungary.
Yes.
So will you speak on what the Hungarians are doing, and maybe what we can learn and take back with us to the United States.
Well, what I think that we can take back with us to the United States is that we have to learn that Hungary is one of the best countries as an example, because they have always been a country that is always fighting for freedom, always with patriotism, always with liberty, and they've never given up. Like I was saying, in 1956, they went out to the streets. Brave men, women, and children went out to the streets, and they knew that what the cost was, that or death, or they were going to be imprisoned, and they didn't care about it. They wanted it, and they wanted to make sure that their kids could have a free life away from government control, and they wanted that. And also in the next demonstration, that was 4 weeks later, because that was from November 24th to October, to October 6th. 4 weeks later in December, they were saying, and they in the water polo Olympics, they said, and they demonstrated that even though that Sandor, one of the water polo players for Hungary, was hit right over the eyebrow very hardly and was bleeding a lot, and they won the game against the Russians, and they won the golden medals because they were proud of being Hungarians.
You know, that's an interesting point. Now, it sounds like your family is from Cuba. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so you know, to the point they're proud of being Hungarian. We have an issue in the United States where we're a nation.
We're not proud about being Americans.
Well, not only that, but there's millions of illegal aliens coming across the border. It's a nation that has, you could say, it's a patchwork of different identities coming from abroad.
Yes.
And the Hungarian example is getting, they had their nation to draw on to inspire them to resist communists. This seems like a big problem in America. How do people have a sense of identity and to resist and to actually have that idea of a nation? You know, when we have a situation where, like you say, I guess this dovetails back into your foundation, and the purpose of your foundation is to create and renew a sense of national identity for
Yes.
Americans. So why don't you just speak on that, your own thoughts?
So what I think that Americans should do is that, like I was saying, we should feel more proud about our country. How do we do that? Well, we learn more about what our founding fathers did for us. Everything that they lost for us. They lost their lives, they lost their relatives, they lost their houses, they lost properties, they lost everything. And if by that we can feel more proud to be Americans, because that is the most important things, and that is what Hungarians did. And I wanted to recall what the president of Hungary said yesterday. She said that here in Hungary they will never stop being proud of being Hungarians. They're not ready to do that, and we have to be the same. We can never be. We should never be ready to stop feeling proud for our country. That's what should happen in America.
All right, well, thank you very much, young man. Your name again?
Daniel.
Daniel, it's my pleasure talking.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Any final thoughts there?
Well, I want to say thank you to you, and for me, it's an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
Cool. All right, take care.
Thank you.